To think that 26 years later, an incredible dream could come true. That chance encounter 26 years ago, one that should have been completely impossible, never led me to expect that we would have the chance to meet again 26 years later. It really is unbelievable. I feel so fortunate in my life. I remember it vividly. I was sitting on the railing when President Putin walked over, lifted me down, and took a photo with me. Before we parted, he even gave me a gentle kiss on the forehead. It's a moment that has remained etched in my memory ever since. I once tried writing him a letter back in 2008 when I was a freshman in college. It just so happened that the Beijing Olympics were taking place that year. I was watching the live broadcast of the Beijing Olympics from my dorm room in Russia when I saw President Putin appear at the opening ceremony. I had arrived in Moscow and President Putin had just arrived in Beijing. That moment sparked an idea in my mind, so I decided to try writing a letter to President Putin. In the letter, I explained that I was the child who had the honor of taking a photo with him at Beihai Park in Beijing all those years ago, and that I had now come to Moscow, Russia, to study abroad. I mentioned that he was visiting China and Beijing to attend the opening ceremony of the Beijing Olympics. As a Chinese citizen, I warmly welcomed him to China and also informed him that I had returned to Russia. I noted that Russia was even more beautiful than I had imagined. At the end of the letter, I also expressed my sincere hope that, if the opportunity arises, I would very much like to see him again. I was truly overjoyed, and my heart was in a state of complete disbelief. It felt like something even more fantastical than a sci-fi movie, more unbelievable than anything I could have imagined. 26 years ago, as an ordinary child, I had the chance to have a close encounter with President Putin without any prior arrangement. An experience that is truly rare in a person's lifetime. I never imagined that 26 years later, I would have the opportunity to meet him again. I don't think this is just a double blessing, it's 100 times that. I previously described it as a defining moment in my life. This next encounter may well be the second defining moment of my life. So far, I can still boldly say I'm not nervous. But when I actually reach the entrance, when I realize that stepping inside will truly allow me to see him again, when this dream becomes reality, I can't guarantee I won't be nervous then. I'm sure I'll be deeply moved inside when I meet President Putin. I think I'd like to tell him, President Putin, you're still as dashing as ever, while I've gone from being a little boy back then to a middle-aged man who's put on a few pounds. Since I returned to China in 2013, I've noticed that Russian elements are becoming increasingly prevalent here, and people are very interested in Russian culture. In many parts of the country, I've seen Russian chocolate products appearing frequently in supermarkets, and Russian restaurants have opened in numerous cities. In recent years, exchanges between China and Russia have grown increasingly close. Interaction between our two heads of state has become more frequent, and economic and cultural exchanges at the grassroots level have expanded significantly. At the same time, I've noticed a growing number of Chinese tourists visiting Russia and Russian tourists coming to China. I believe this reflects the harmonious relationship between our two nations, and I am confident that China and Russia will continue to develop in an increasingly positive direction.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.